segment. So we have Anushka with us, and she has converted IIM Bangalore, Calcutta, Lucknow, and Indore. So she is a BBA from NMIMS, and post which she has converted all these calls. She has also scored a 99.65 on the CAT. So in today's interaction, we are going to understand from her how she prepared for the test, what motivated her to do an MBA, and what are her career aspirations from here on. So let's get started. Welcome Anushka to this segment.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for this scheduling this. And I think I'll jump right away. The firstly, I'll talk about the motivation, obviously, because this was my first attempt, and unlike most people, I did not take it in my final year. I started preparing in my final year, but appeared post my graduation. So since it was my first attempt, plus again could be called sort of a gap year, and I had no work experience, did not even sit for placement. So my biggest motivation was that I wanted to do an MBA. I had seen placements in general, and I was just not sure as to whether I want to take a job right now, because I wanted to upskill, know a little more about how things work in the real world, and then maybe jump into a role that would suit me. So essentially, the idea was to first get back to my hometown after my graduation, think a little about it, and then plan. But in December itself, I had started preparing. Um, Started preparing from the coaching itself, and then eventually there were exams, and I did not keep up with it entirely for the first 6 months. But then post my graduation, I came back home around in June, and I think June first week is when I really got serious about it. That I don't have a job, I don't have a guaranteed CAT score, so I don't know what the future holds for me. And this attempt, and I was sure that I had to take one attempt, and whatever happens in the one attempt is final for me. I was pretty sure about that. So initially, how it started off was that I started watching the online prep, the online classes, dividing each subject's module wise, and then mapping the whole syllabus. And then I remember putting on targets which were very achievable, and monthly targets, honestly, and it boiled down to week as well. So that what happens is, at home, when you're there and nobody's really studying around you, and you're not attending a coaching class in person, then you sort of lose the interest, because all my friends had graduated. So everybody was either working, or they were already into a college. So I did not have a lot of people telling me to study. So the motivation had to come from within, and I did not want it to be a very much unachievable goal that I'll finish all the modules in 1 month or something like that. So I thought that I figured that by August I would want to get done with the quants, especially because it is very vast. And then eventually did my revision, planned my revisions and then my mocks. I remember traveling before my CAT exam to Calcutta, because Malda does not have a center. So Calcutta had gone for a center experience, so that at least before the exam I can, because I'd been at home for so long, that I thought I'll go there and maybe have an experience before the exam. So yeah, I think that probably answers the question. If
Yeah, a lot of follow-up questions rather. So first is you said unlike a lot of people, you started preparing when you were in the final year, but you didn't take it when you were in the final year. You completed
yeah.
your graduation and then you took the attempt.
Hmm.
So any particular reason behind that?
Yeah, so I think so in June that year, when the CAT was supposed to happen in November, I would have started in June, like everybody did almost. They got serious around June and then started preparing. I wanted to do the same, but then I had a family emergency. Related to my grandfather, and I was very close to him. So at that time, I did not think that I could give it my best. And it's not about the score per se, but in general, that I did not want to sit for the exam when I knew that I was not going to give my best. And already 2 3 months had passed, and then I had about 3 months in hand. And even though I would have taken, I mean, I was told at least go and experience it in the center, the paper pattern. But personally, I could not bring upon myself, knowing that I was just going there for nothing. So I did not take it, because I really wanted to be sure that whenever I take it with my whole heart, no matter what the result is, of course, but at least take it seriously. So that is how I chose to postpone it to the next year, if at all I
Okay. And other thing that happened was that you started as a classroom student and then you moved back to your hometown,
do.
and from there on you continued with IMS in the online mode.
Hmm.
So, any particular challenges that you faced in transitioning from classroom to online? Was it seamless? How was your experience like?
So I think I personally preferred classroom because it's a competitive exam, and I had not taken any. I mean, during my NMIMS part, I had taken NPAT, but it was online again. But I never had this experience of going to a center, sitting with so many people, quickly solving, and that adds to a lot of pressure. I mean, you could be solving something at your home in 2 minutes, and then suddenly you're surrounded by so many people who are answering and who are questioning, and then you're just suddenly like, I can't solve it. And this is what happened in December and January when I was going to the classes. I think the class was so motivating because every day you used to have peers around you asking questions or even suggesting solutions, a different kind of solutions, and then it opens up your brain. Oh wow, this kind of solution also exists. But that happens in online, but not that much. I mean, online is in that sense a little restrictive. But in my opinion, the reason I switched to online, although I had an option of staying back in Mumbai, continuing, all of that was also possible from my end. But I did not do that because I wanted to also I mean, come back home and give my entire energy to it. So I knew that, I mean, I was constantly a part of groups. I mean, all of those Telegram groups and WhatsApp groups where even my online batch also had a group. So people used to post doubts there. So that used to give a sense that people are there, people are solving, and in general. And the transition, the main challenge was that, I mean, again, the not having people around, but the good part I would say was that I could schedule my classes or watch the videos whenever I wanted to.
Hmm.
So I'm somebody who really enjoys watching at 2x and like that. So sometimes, most of the times, I used to watch recorded lectures and then be able to come back to it again and again during revisions also, and maybe pause and remember, okay, this is the video I want to come back to again when I want to build a concept. So that is the advantage that I got in online. Offline had its own set of advantages, but then I had to prioritize that something or the other had to be traded off. So I chose the home is better part to prepare mentally and otherwise also. So I chose that.
Okay, so again, when you prepared for NPAT, do you think your NPAT preparation also, to some extent, set the tone for aptitude-based competitive exams?
I would say NPAT also I had enrolled in IMS Calcutta only. But NPAT was actually a transition phase for me because I was a science student scoring really well. I was supposed to take the Holy Grail JEE and then get into an engineering college, but then COVID happened and I was not again ready to take a gap year because we were really off studies for a while. We The environment was missing everything. So I took NPAT, but I did not prepare that much for NPAT because I think it was around very much into basic aptitude. So somehow, yeah. So I scored average marks over there and I cleared and it was enough. So honestly,
But
I
you made it to NMIMS BBA, right? So clearly your score wasn't average, right?
yeah, I mean, it was not amazing also, but okay, decent. But I made it to NMIMS and then 3 years. I mean, BBA is nice, but then no as such aptitude preparation, where you need to solve under 2 minutes, and so heavy maths in terms of quants also again. So I would say that I had to start from zero. I mean, I remember not being able to solve sets in 30, 40, 50 minutes and being like, how do we even solve this? I mean, and those were like the easy ones. Later on, I realized that, oh wow, these are the pretty easy ones. So it was a process. I think the best part is I think that I started in December. So even though I say that I started preparing in June to everybody who asks me, but to be very honest, that preparation has had begun in December. So I think my mental gym was happening in those months. So it set a tone for June. So June, it was not entirely new. It was some prep had happened before. So that was an advantage, I think.
Right. And when you started with SimCAT, so at the time of shooting this video, we have just started the SimCAT season for the CAT 25 aspirants.
Mhm.
So when you started with SimCATs, what were your scores like? Because for a lot of students, that's a concern that they have, that my SimCAT scores are not great in the beginning. So will I still be able to make it? So how was the SimCAT journey for you?
So I was not the ideal person scoring above 90 in every mocks, not like that. Yes, I had a few mocks later, very later in the preparation in September or October, where I might have scored a 99 in the SimCAT percentile. But other than that, I had times where I scored a 40 percentile also, an 80 percentile also. And in my opinion, um, it varies. And I think the only way to look at SimCAT, I mean, every mentor will tell you this, and you will not honestly believe then, because you will feel, no, it's not working for me. But the fact is, just don't look at the score, look at the analysis. It is absolutely true. And I used to initially start watching those YouTube videos where somebody's saying that I scored 99 in all my mocks, and that's the only way you can score 99 in the exam, because consistency is key. But I don't think that is true, unless I mean, obviously, if you take it to your heart. I remember, even before my exam, just 10 days before the actual cat, I scored a 0 in DILR in some mock, and in the exam I scored a 99.81. So when I scored a 0, I really did not take it to heart, because I knew that I had prepared, and I just knew that it was a bad day, it was a tough paper. And I just somehow knew that I know the process. I believed in myself, and I did not even complain to anybody, to my mentors also, because I was like, "Ki, at this point, I think they have shown faith in me. I know that I can do this, and I will do this." So if you go in with that mentality, then no mocks will be important. The only part is, I used to spend a lot of time in analyzing. Lot, I mean, sometimes 3-4 hours, although I will recommend reduce it. I had time in hand, so maybe I did that. But I still have notebooks proper, with every SimCAT is written, and every question is analyzed, and solution is written in different colored pens. All of those things I used to do, so that eventually you will not remember the solution, but that will build your mind. I mean, the space will increase in your brain, and then you will start solving better, is
Right.
what.
I mean, you don't remember the exact set, but you remember the approaches that help you to
Yes,
crack the steps.
100%. Or at least it prepares you for situations, because when I started taking the real exam on the D day, my first section was not nice. English was not nice. But then, since I've taken so many mocks, 30-35 mocks I had taken, I knew of all the combinations and everything that can go wrong. So I knew that even if first section was bad, there is still chance of recovery. I mean, it's not lost until
Right.
three sections are over. So since I'd gone through many mocks like that, where maybe some section is going very down, the other is trying to pick it up. So I knew that everything is possible unless the last second is there in hand. So I was able to let it go. Matlab, that
And
is.
what was your strongest area at the time of prep?
At the time of prep, initially all three of them were weak. Uh, I was struggling with all three of them. Then I would say DILR became very strong towards the end, because I specifically worked too hard there. Quants, so DILR, then quants, and then English, I would say. I mean, VA. VA also, because maybe initially I neglected VA a lot. Because everybody, I think, starts focusing on quants or DILR. I mean, the non engineering kids, especially, they feel like quants is the one battle they have to win first, and DILR another, and then VA will come out of magically in August or something like that. So for me also, that happened for a while, that I was neglecting VA, but then eventually I picked it up. It's just that that day it was not my day, but it was decent. I mean, I wouldn't say it was bad. Could have been better, but still managed to sail through.
I think there's always a feeling that things could have been better on the D-Day.
Yeah, always. And for me, I think what helped me was my accuracy in VA. I mean, my attempts were very low. My attempts were only 11 questions. I think I attempted more in quants, 14 or 15. And in VA, I had only attempted 11. Just 11 is like a nightmare for somebody who's aiming really high. And then I think I managed to get 9 or 10 correct out of 11. So, because at least I knew that I cannot take a chance. So I sort of focused more on accuracy then, because the paper seemed a little difficult to me.
Hmm.
So that was what happened.
Okay. So expecting to score in the 99.5 plus range once you had taken the test, you were out of the test menu. So did it cross your mind that, okay, I'll be able to get a 99.5 or more?
So, like you say, that no matter how well you perform, you always feel that there is better scope and everything. I knew that if my VA accuracy will be high, I had predicted my score to be 104. My father, in fact, did the calculation, and it so happened that the raw score was 104. It got scaled to 108.99. So, it was bang on, only dependent on the fact that my accuracy in VA, which is like you never know if the answer is right or wrong. VA, you just cannot say. So it was entirely dependent on VA. So I remember when the score sheet was also out, I was just looking at the VA score. That if VA is fine, I know I nailed the exam. Because DILR, even though I was so stressed, I mean, because of the VA, I mean, you try to get over it, but some part of you is still thinking about it. So I remember being very nervous. And DILR, I had almost, I think there were 5 sets. I think I had done 4, and I was on to the last or something like that. Uh, but yet I was not feeling confident because of the VA. And the same with QA. Even after doing 14, 15 questions, I was like, no, no, I think I could have done more. But I was sure that a score would be nice. I mean, and then
Hmm.
analysis had already come out that if you score above
Right.
this. So fair idea, but everything dependent on VA for me personally.
Okay. And then once the calls started coming in, so how did you start preparing for the interviews, and then what were your subsequent interview experiences like?
Mhm. So when the calls, it was almost unreal because I mean, I was told that at least A and B I will not get, no chance. Uh, Considering my percentile is decent, but then again, just a few advice from everybody. So somebody said that no, you will not get A and B. C is very probable and probably the best shot that you can have. But then eventually calls started coming in, and then I got all the calls. So it was obviously the best. I mean, situation for me, getting all IIMs. Then for preparation, I would say that initially I started to go by a lot of material to study, and ended up not studying for it. I mean, because I personally am not somebody who likes to mug up and like just because I was very clear that okay, CAD is something I can work on, but it's just something that right now I'm not very comfortable answering. So I think in every interview I was very honest. I mean, that this is what I know, this is what I can prepare for, and this is what I willingly did not prepare for, because I don't think that, I mean, right now I want to prepare for it. If you tell me why I should, I will prepare. So I remember my first was Kozhikode, and then Bangalore was there. So Bangalore was, I think, one of my happiest experiences. Um, it was a very different interview, and plus it was the last of the day. So I was like, no chance I'm going to get in. It's already 12 hours of interviews for them. But I mean, what happened happened. So it got converted, and yeah, I think majority would, I would say, is that I focused mainly on building my answers, HR questions, but not really writing or preparing as such, just talking to people. And I started working also in a marketing agency, so I was building around that and getting clients. So I every day I was talking to clients, so that kind of also helped me into talking and how you should, sort of carry yourself in a room, all of those things. Other than that, I think honesty just never gets old, and it's the best policy.
So what was the best? So you said I am Bangalore was the best, but what was the worst interview experience?
Worst interview, Raipur. Uh, I think I am Raipur was one of the worst interviews, because I mean I was asked that how did you score so high in CAT and all of that, and then they gave me a mathematics question, limits and differentiation, and I was like, I don't know. So sir was just writing it, and I said, even before I saw the limit thing, I said, ki, I don't know, I will not be able to answer. Then he said, you will not. I mean, you did not prepare. I'm like, no. Then he said, okay, then he gave me an inequality question, and then I was trying to draw the graph very neatly, taking my time, writing the scale, everything. And then he told me that I would have done this in 2 minutes. Sorry, 2 seconds or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but this was not there in CAT, so I think I got saved. So yes, that was one of my a little
Okay.
bit, but
And in any of the interviews, did you have any problem because of not having enough work experience? I mean, I'm sure a lot of them saw, right, that you graduated in 24.
Mhm.
By the time you went for the interviews, you didn't have enough experience to show or
Yeah.
talk about, right? So, did that come in the way of you performing at your potential in any of the interviews?
So I think what happened is that immediately after CAT, I joined work, because the idea was to not be unproductive, non-productive or whatever. So the idea was that I at least, no matter what the result is, I keep working and do something. So in Ahmedabad specifically, I remember being asked that why, oh, so you basically could not prepare in your last year and so you did not take it or something like that. So they were trying to grill me a little that, okay, you're not mentally prepared, able to take the stress to, you did not sit for placements, you did not take the exam. So I just told them that it was, I just did not want to play with the exam to just try how it feels and all of that, because mock is there to feel the exam, I feel. So I did not want to do that with the exam. So I I gave it when I thought I could perform the best. And that was my policy. And I joined work only because I feel like I could not waste those months. I mean, there was six pretty good 6 months, December to June, before any college begins. And I moved to Calcutta also so that I can work plus take all my interviews were there. So I had to move outside my hometown any which ways. So I was staying there completely so that I can work as well as take interviews. And now interviews have gone whatever way they can go. So did not think much about it. But they were convinced, they did not grill further. But I don't know what they felt about the answer. But any other place, I don't think there was too much spotlight on this. That it didn't matter that much, I feel.
Okay. And as a non-engineer preparing for the CAT, right, and of course scoring at such a high level, what would be your advice to students? Because again, see, you prepared for NPAT, then you prepared for CAT. Any specific advice that you have for non-engineers?
For non-engineers, I think they're very worried about quants. Uh, so firstly, I would address quants. Um, the way to go about quants is really, or even DILR, is about building that mental strength. It's not about remembering any question. I don't think on the day of CAT I remembered any question, any tricks. Uh, yes, people do prepare that, but eventually on the D day you sort of solve it naturally the way you would have at your home, just like that. So I think the real key is the reason there are so many mocks, so many sectional tests and everything is only to prepare that mental strength every day. I mean, I used to remember that on days I used to get bored, I used to pick up random Telegram groups and start solving the doubts. Even though I could not reach the solution, the idea was to only build that strength. It's almost like going to the gym. I remember, I think one of my mentors in one of my plan sessions only probably told me this, that it's like going to the gym. You go there for your physical workout. So if you do the similar thing for your mental strength, then you will start seeing the results. And I did, because for example, DILR, initially I was not able to crack the basic seating solutions or arrangements, and it was so basic and I just did not understand how the solutions are really coming into being and everything. So I started solving Sudoku to a point that I got addicted to Sudoku, and I used to solve advanced level, clear all the levels. Then I moved, when I was bored of Sudoku, I moved on to Kakuro to even take it to next level. And I remember one of the initial sessions that IMS gives you in the portal to watch CAT journey. I remember.
A date with CAT.
Yes, correct. And I remember one line that I can, even on this desk, I have this written, is that it is to enjoy the process. I know this will sound very much like some philosophy or something like that, but truly, on days when I really did not feel like doing anything, I used to just tell myself that I really like it. I mean, truly do enjoy it. And on CAT also, I think if you look at my admit card, I had the biggest smile on the face. Even the invigilators were like, why is this girl smiling so much? Because I was happy to be there. I mean, I was really grateful. I knew I'd prepared well, given it my all. So I was just happy. I mean, I was very happy and I wanted to be that same way in the interviews. So for non-engineers specifically, the idea is to build that mental muscle. Pick up anything, pick up Sudoku, whatever you like, pick up a game, video game, mathematic video game, or anything, do whatever. Just make sure that every day you're doing some mental gym, just like you do physical gym. And then eventually you'll see any kind of problems you will start solving. It will just come to you because you have that strength. Yeah.
And what's your future plan? So, career-wise, you said marketing, you are also working in marketing. So, um, from here on, what's your vision for, let's say, the next 4 or 5 years?
So honestly, this I got asked in a lot of interviews also, and I don't think I have a vision. I did not know 1 year back that I will be sitting here taking this interview, because I remember watching so many similar interviews on YouTube, on the IMS portal. There was an IMS achiever session also that we were given initially. But I did not know that I will be here, so I don't know that 4 5 years where I can be, and I don't want to limit myself thinking small for my own self. So the possibilities are endless, and I would want to achieve the highest of levels where I can reach in 4 5 years is what I am aiming at.
Okay, but specialization, more or less
Especially
marketing.
marketing. Yes, 100%. Marketing is very, very clear in my mind. Marketing is, yeah, the field that I will explore more.
Okay, and one last question before we end the segment. If you can travel back in time and change something about your prep journey, is there anything that you would like to change?
So I am glad that I asked this question every week to myself that what I would change, what I would change, and I kept changing it. So I will just tell you what I changed. That I'm glad I changed. Um, in the last month, I happened to come across a post on Twitter or LinkedIn that said that the DILR, I mean, the rough sheet that we are given is A5, and it truly is A5. It is very small, and I am somebody who has a very gigantic handwriting and uses the biggest notebook to completely draw those tables clearly, neatly, and only then I'm able to work it out. So in the last month, when I switched to that small A5 notebook, I could not solve DILR. I somehow lost the strength of solving it because of the paper size. Because I don't know how, but the paper size was so important. I mean, moving from a very large canvas to a small canvas, it's almost like that. So I'm glad that I made the shift. 1 month I struggled a lot. Just before the exam, I told you I scored a zero also in DILR. But thankfully, on that day, I knew that A5, I knew how to work around an A5 sheet. So all of these little things you need to keep asking during the prep. I mean, I would say that ask people what they did wrong more than what they did right. So that will help a lot in the journey, I think.
Yeah, very insightful, very insightful. I'm sure this entire conversation, there have been a lot of takeaways for everybody, whether you're an engineer or not an engineer. A lot to learn from the journey that you have had. And I wish you congratulations once again, and thank you for taking out time and doing this for our students. So great, all the best to you from all of us at IMS.
Thank you. Thank you so much.